Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In today's lecture, we are going to take a look at basic input and output on two interfaces, CLI interface and GUI interface. CLI stands for command line interface and GUI stands for graphical user interface. Simple program. Okay, coming to the slides. As you can see here, the model we took help of to represent a program on the 0.0 lecture. Every program can be represented by this model. This model has got 5 things, collection of 5 things. One is input, output, internal storage, processing, and external storage. So we are going to take a look at the program and explain each part of this program. This program is starting with 3 imports. I intentionally did not write the package statement. We talked about this in the last lecture, that 2 kind of statement come out of the class. This is the class, import statement and package statement. Package statement is one only. Import can be one or more. We have got 3 import statements and I put all 3 statements on the same line just to make the program fit onto one screen. Actually, the compiler does not need the white spaces. What are white spaces? White spaces are a new line from there to here. The new line is a white space. Similarly, adding more spaces between import and Java, for example, here, adding more spaces. Instead of 1 cursor space, we add 5, 6, 7 cursor spaces or tab distance. They all are white spaces. White spaces are blank lines, space characters, and tab characters. They are ignored by the compiler. The compiler is the program. In the last slide, we talked about this. A compiler is a program which translates the high-level language to the, in Java's case, bytecode. In general, high-level language to the lower level language, to the machine code, if the compiler is going to make the program run on the platform. In Java's case, this is not the case. Java code is compiled into bytecode and then the bytecode is translated again to the machine code to run on a platform. What the compiler sees is a program passed in as a stream of characters. As you can see here, this import, read from left to right, import all the way to the 2 close brackets passed as one stream. So in this program, the line, new lines, blank lines, extra spaces between the program syntax, that will be ignored by the compiler. Okay, if the compiler does not need these spaces, then why do we put these spaces? In the last program, we talked about the comments, single line comment, multiple line comments. Compiler ignores those comments. Then why do we add those comments? Comments are added for the human being to help the human reader to understand the program in smaller time. Similarly, here the program is written in such a way which is human readable, human friendly. So you can see here that, as you can see here, not only the new lines, the next line is shifted 1 character to the right, and then next line is shifted 1 or 2 characters to the right. So this is like called indentation. We try to write the code just to display the structure of the program. It is easier for the reader. So for me as a human reader, it is easier that this is a class, where is the end of the class at the same level and class here. Okay, this is the method. Where is the end of the method at the same level, method ends here. Then all the other statements here are at the same level. So this actually represents the structure of the program. This is a non-functional requirement of a software. When we want to make a software, we want to make the software readable for the humans, and adding the comments and putting the code or writing the code in such a way that the structure is visible by indentation, moving the line to the next line, makes the code readable for the human being. So this is Second tip, software engineering tip, that the code should be readable. Okay, coming back to the code, 3 import statements. Okay, last time when we talked about the program, we did not actually emphasize on this, that why do we need import? Import, actually, look at here. When we write a method, main method with a block of code, is actually known as the defining the method. So this is actually the definition of the method. What is the meaning of the definition of method? The meaning of the definition of the method is the method defines what it actually does. So when the main runs, it does line 4 first, then 5, then 6, then 7, then 8, and 9. So the things are happening in sequence. So actually these are the tasks performed by the main. So these tasks are actually defining the method. By which of this task, we can say the method is doing this, X, Y, whatever task is doing. So definition of the method is one thing. Other thing is calling the method. Look at here. This method next, followed by 2 round brackets, not followed by the curly block, a block of code, is actually the call of the method. So this is the call of the method. 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 So method is either defined or called. Main is being defined. Within the main, we are calling different methods. Now, these different methods, the compiler does not know about this method. We need to tell the compiler that to do a method execution, this one, it has to go somewhere else. Where else? Where should it go? Now, lang.static, the system object, the system is actually defined in the lang package. So when the compiler comes to this line, compilers does not know what is the meaning of system. But if we write this import, then the compiler know anything suspicious or anything undefined here should be looked into this import. Similarly, the scanner here, something not defined here should be looked somewhere else. That is in the util package. Similarly, goption pane, something not defined here should be looked somewhere else. So the imports are actually references, links to those libraries where the compiler can go and see the definitions of the things which are not defined here. Here, only thing is defined is the main. So the scanner, the goption pane, the system, they are not being defined here. They are being used here. They are being. So for that, we need to write the imports. Okay, this is the description of the program. Now, moving on to the program, before we actually explain the program, let's take a look at the output of the program. Okay, this is the program. I just removed the extra spaces so you can read the program better. Now, one character space is must between import and Java. This is a must. But after one, if I put many spaces, or if I add many new lines, empty lines between the code, that doesn't make much difference, any difference. So let's do this and compile this program. When we compile this program, it is going to do certain thing. Now, a dialog box comes up. Enter first name. Let's enter any first name. Let's say Asim. And now, that was the first dialog box was from the GUI interface. Now, the second, this enter the last name, this instruction or this display is on the CLI interface, command line interface. So let's put another name, last name, let's say but. Okay, enter. Now you can see here, this display is the GUI display. So a greeting message to the person with the first name Asim, last name Bhatt. Hello Asim Bhatt. Okay, now again, a new message, hello Asim Bhatt comes here. Okay, this is the output of the program. Now coming back to the program. Okay, let's discuss the program. The program, okay, what is the main method? The main method, as we discussed last time, a class without a main method is a program, is a process, not an application. A program, a class with a main method is an application. When we execute an application, the execution starts from the main. The execution starts from the main. Doesn't matter what else we have in that program, in that class. There may be many methods, but the execution will always start from the main. Okay. Within the main, we have multiple line of instruction, multiplying instruction code. It will be executed one by one. Now you can see here the scanner. The scanner is an object we need to read from the command line interface. System.in, system.out. System.out is by default linked to the screen of your machine, your display unit. System.in by default is linked to the keyboard. So it is actually the system.in is linked with the keyboard. So when the information will be entered from the keyboard, it will go into the scanner. When the output is given to the system.out, because this is by default linked with the display unit, it will display the thing on the string on the screen. Okay, so this is for the CLI interface, system.in to read from the keyboard, system.out to write to the display unit on your machine. So this is for the CLI, system.in, system.out. Now coming to the GUI. For the GUI, we are using GOptionPane. GOptionPane.show input dialog. Input dialog is to accept input. GUI dialog box will appear, graphical user interface, as we saw in the program, and then display a dialog box to display the output. So the GOptionPane is being used for the GUI purpose. GOptionPane is coming from Swing package. System is coming from Lang package. Scanner is coming from util package. How do we know these things? These things are not to be remembered. With the passage of time, with frequent use, you will remember this. You don't have to make an effort to memorize these things. You will remember it. And this is like reference. Initially, in the beginning, you will ask someone, you will be told, you can search online. Once you know for which service, for which object, for which utility, you can use which package and include that package and use the utility. In the next lecture, I will show you, inshallah, that how to actually go and see the details of that thing you are using. For example, we are using scanner here, GOptionPane here, system.out.println here. So how to know the details? Who will tell us the details? This we will do in the next lecture, inshallah, when I show you the use of the documentation. Coming back to the code here. Now, if you remember the output of the program on the NetBeans, which I just executed the program, first thing first, before we actually do anything visible to the program, to the user, actually the user is being interacted. So this program here is interacting with the user, human user, to read input form and to display output too. Now this output actually is the display printing on the screen. So this is a way of interaction. If we are using the mobile phones, we all use mobile phones, we are interacting with the application through the keyboard coming onto the interface of the mobile, and then see the outputs on the interface of the mobile, the display unit of the mobile. So we are actually interacting with the application through the device. Now we are actually interacting with the application through the CLI interface and the GUI interface. So the first thing will happen, we set the scanner, a variable input scanner. We set the scanner to the system.in, and then we ask the GOptionPane.show input dialog to come up with this message, enter first name. Now the GUI dialog box will appear with the text field. You will enter the name in the text field and enter. Once you enter, the control goes to the CLI interface in sequence. So enter the last name, then you will enter another name in the CLI interface. Then what will happen? Then input dot next input is the scanner here. From the input, we will fetch, we'll get the string entered, which is this one, into the LN. What was entered in the GUI dialog box, input dialog box, will come to the FN, will be assigned to the FN. FN is string type. Now here, what you fetch from the input from the scanner, which was entered through the keyboard, will come into ln. Once it's come to the ln, we print for the CLI interface using the printf method of system.out. We give the greeting hello, then a blank space, %s is for the string type, another blank spaces, two blank spaces with a space in between. So the one blank space will be filled by fn, first name. The second blank space for the string type will be filled by ln. Here in this case, we say null, and then the second part, the hello space, first name, then space, then ln. Now you can see here, this will actually concatenate the three strings, one string hello with a space at the end, fn, the first name, then another space, a string with an empty space, and then ln. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4 strings put together, concatenated, and put into our display. What is this null? This null is actually representing that this dialog box does not belong to any parent dialog. What does that mean? That means, simple example, in Microsoft Word, if you say Control F, Control S, search for searching anything, Control F or Control S, some dialog box come up in your Microsoft Word, and if you minimize the word, that small dialog box minimize along with the word. This disappears from your screen because that small dialog box belongs to the parent Microsoft Word. Here, what null means, it does not belong to any parent. It will remain there. Even if you minimize, the net means it will remain on your screen. That we can have a look here. I can show you. For example, in this program, let's run the program again. First name, Asim, last name, but now you can see here, this appears and then this appears. Okay, I minimize this. You can see here that dialog box does not go along with the net means, because net means it's not the parent of this. Okay, say okay, coming back to the slides and then display. Okay, I hope things are simple and easy and clear. Let's move on. White spaces, we have talked about this. Class, method, reserved word, statement, expression, and declaration. Class, as we have seen, every program in Java is a class. In the class, so far, we have talked about only one method, that is main. So there is a main method. Reserved words, certain words are reserved. We cannot use it for any other purpose. For example, on our program, the public, class, import, static, void, these are reserved words. Input is not a reserved word. This is in our hand. We can use it instead of input. I say IP, I, FN, LN. This is in my hand. These are not reserved words. Reserved words are the words which have special meaning and that cannot be used for any other purpose. Statements, semicolon, anything ends with a semicolon is a statement. Expression, assign expression. So whatever is on the right hand side is going to assign to the left hand side. So this is an expression. Declaration, certain things are being declared. For example, in this line, two things are happening. One thing is we are writing the string fn, we are declaring it, and then we are assigning this into the fn. Okay, coming back to this model, input, we know there are certain input instructions here. Output, to display the output to on the screen to the user, there are certain output instructions here. Internal storage, fn, ln, input, these are internal storages. We are holding the data. As you can see here, we took the input, first name, and then we took the input, last name, and we kept it here in fn and ln. These are like internal storages. Processing, what is the processing? Here is the processing. We are putting things with a greeting message all together. Here we are putting things all together. So there is processing. The only thing missing here in this program from the model is the external storage, because this is not necessary, is a complicated thing. This will come later on. We will not talk about this here. Okay, coming to this, every program in Java consists of at least one class. We have talked about this, and that class is called programmer defined or user defined, because we are the one who are writing this program. So this is user defined, programmer defined. Identifiers. What is identifier? Something which is not reserved. Public is reserved, class is reserved. These are reserved words. Import is reserved, but things which are in our hand, the name of this input is in my hand. Fn, ln, these are called the identifier. The name of the program is in my hand. This is called the identifier. There are certain rules for the identifier. Identifier can be series of characters consisting of letters, digits, underscore, and dollar sign that does not begin with a digit and does not contain any space and not a keyword. Simple. There are three rules. This identifier should not be a keyword, should not be public, should not be static, should not be class, should not be import, because these are the keywords. So the input, the name here should not be a keyword. The name should not have spaces in between, and the name should not start with a numeric letter. These are the three rules to follow for an identifier. Java is case sensitive. We have talked about this in the previous lecture as well. Java application automatically starts at the main. Escape characters. To add certain characters in our, to add the certain behavior in our output, we can take help of this character. For example, if I say \n, the rest of the string after the \n will move to the next line. Horizontal tab, to add a distance of the horizontal tab. Carriage return will be like carriage return in old age typewriters. So the carriage return will bring it back to the beginning, and then the rest of the string will be overwriting the initial part of the string. Double quote. So these are \n. A sequence of this \n and n will mean we take the rest of the part of the string to the new line. Let's take a look at only one of these. Okay. Here, the hello world, I put \n here. Now, what will happen on the CLI? Not here. System.out.println here. \n. Now, \n will move the rest of the part of the string to the next line. So the hello will appear on the first line, on a different line, and the asim but will come to the next line. Let's take a look at this output. Asim but, you see, hello asim but appears on the next line. So the \n are the special characters to add different effects in your outputs. You can try the others. Okay, here's another program. In this program, I'm only writing the code of the main method, because the rest of the things you already know. So I have only written the code of the method, main method. In this, what I'm doing here, I'm declaring, in the previous slide, in the previous program, you have seen that we have actually put the program code at more than one, we actually declare the variables on more than one lines. Input here, fn here, ln here. This is not a good software engineering coding practice. In software engineering coding practices says we try to declare. Now, in the previous slide, we actually declared a sign in the same sentence, in the same line. Now we are separating it. Here we are declaring three variables of type string. Here we are declaring three variables of type int. What is string? What is int? That we'll see in a minute. Fn, Sn. Now we are assigning, as you can see here, the first name to the Fn, the second name to the Sn. Sorry, first number and second. This is just a method to add two numbers. a program to add two numbers. So at the end, we say Rn Fn plus Sn, and G option pane, show message dialog, null Rn, it will display the Rn, and then we convert the Fn, Sn to integers, and then we add the two numbers and then display. Now the output of this program, let's copy this program and display and run it and see what is the output, and then I will explain the reasons for this. Copy. That means within the main, because we only need to change the main code. We change this. Now we run this program and see what happens. This is going to ask the number 5, first number, 6, second number. Now the first display is 56. The second display is 11. What did we enter? 5 and 6. And what we are trying to do, we are trying to add the two numbers. Second one is 5 plus 6 is 11. But the first input was 56. What is that about? Let's take a look at it. In this program, we declare the variables in the beginning. That's a good software engineering principle for making the code readable. Now the three things all together. Number 1, comments in the last lecture. Number 2, today, indentation, making the lines structured look like the class structure has a method structure, and within the method structure we have got the code of the main. You can see the spaces here. We are putting the code into the next lines and placing the code in such a way that the structure is visible to the user. This is second tip for better coding. The third tip for better coding is to declare the variables at one point in the beginning of the program. Then after declaring the variable, what we are doing, we are taking the first number, put in Fn, second number, put in Sn. Now what is the type of Fn and Sn? It's the string type. Okay, plus when we do the addition between the two string types, what will happen? It does not do the mathematical addition. It just put the two things, two strings together. Here we actually use plus symbol between 4 string, 1, 2, 3, 4 string. So what this plus did, it actually put together all the strings together. Similarly here, so the first number was 5, second number was 6. So this addition is not actually mathematical addition. This is just putting the two numbers together, 56. Then we display. So that's why this line of instruction display the result 56. Next, what we did, we converted the Fn to the integer type, numeric type. And then we converted the second number to the numeric type. And then we add the two numbers with the same plus symbol, which we used previously to result. And now this result is 11. This is displaying the right result. Okay, coming to the next slide. Data types. So far, you have seen the use of two kind of data types. One is integer and the other is string and a scanner. In Java, in every programming language, few things are defined at the compiler level because the programs are meant to store data, process data. So the data is important. It's very important. As the data is important, the type of the data is even more important. So we need to define the type of the data. What is the type of the data? Like if the data is numeric, we can apply the mathematical operations on the numeric types. But if the data is non-numeric, we cannot apply the mathematical operation on the non-numeric types. So the type of the data is important. So every language has got this system. It is called the type system of the language. Now here you can see here the primitive data types: short, long, int, float, double, byte, char, boolean. Out of these, we have only used int. These are the 8 primitive data types defined at the Java compiler level. These are the primitive types. All other types are called the user defined, the programmer defined types. This we will discuss later. Operator overloading. The plus operator is being used between two string types, and the plus operator is being used between two numeric types. When it is used between two string type, it puts the strings together. concatenate them. And when it is used between two numeric type, it adds them together. This behavior of plus is called the overloading, operator overloading. If the same operator is used between two strings, it does concatenation. If the same operator is used between two string types, it numeric type, it does the addition. Okay, I hope things are simple and easy and clear. We'll stop it here, and until the next time, until the next lecture, take care.